As we simply step into this day, into this service, I invite everyone to surround themselves and others with the love, the joy, and the peace that you bring to this room today. Let us just simply bless those who have shown up ahead of time to prepare the space, whether it be our amazing music department, our greeters, Bob on sound, our amazing teachers, and of course today our speaker, Reverend Don. So, yes, use me. Use me, God, because I stand for you. Please help me anchor this by saying, and so it is. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Linda.
So we've been doing the sacred tradition of honoring the season for nonviolence, which is the Martin Luther King assassination and Gandhi's assassination. It's a good time, and it's a good time of year to choose peace over violence. So let us continue to promote that. So our candle lighter today is going to be Ladora, back from vacation. Yoo-hoo! Thank you. We missed you. So today's prayer for peace is a Jainist. Jainist, prayer for peace. Peace and universal love is the essence of the gospel preached by all enlightened ones. The Lord has preached that peace is Dharma. I forgive all creatures, and let all creatures forgive me. I have enmity unto all, and unto no one enmity. Know that violence is the root cause of all miseries in the world. Violence, in fact, is the knot of bondage. Do not injure any living being. This is the eternal and unalterable way of spiritual life. A weapon, howsoever powerful it may be, can always be superseded by a superior one. But no weapon can, however, be superior to nonviolence and love. And our second candle is the healing candle of love. And we invite you in the stillness of your own mind to bring to awareness the names of any one that you wish to be included in this healing flame of love and of light. And now that our flames of faith are fully lighted, we move forward into our celebration, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Thank you, Ladora. Woo. Today's sacred reading is a Jane Beach reading.
Surprise.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Jane Day.
Oh, is it Janus? Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is day 46 out of her book, Choices. Intuition tells us which way to go, who to trust, when to lead, and when to follow. It's a gut feeling that sends out signals to every part of our body at once. We can either pay attention or not. Either way, we learn from the experience. Sometimes our most important lessons come when we don't follow our intuition, gently encouraging us to grow in faith the next time. Welcome and good morning, everybody. We all survived daylight savings time. Woohoo! And in an hour, the rest of the congregation is going to show up. Was there anybody this week who didn't need prayer? for one thing or another. Is there anybody in the room? No. Yeah. And so that shows you the power of what prayer is. And we all have the key. How exciting is that? But we love prayer so much that we offer it in a bunch of different ways. The first is practitioners, praying with a practitioner after service. If there's something on your heart, we say it every Sunday. Do not leave here if you have something heavy on your heart. There's no need. Give it to a practitioner. The other way is I wake up at 2 a.m. and something's bothering me and I can't get back to sleep. Am I the only one that happens to? Okay, it was 2:30 last night, but get up. Get 3? Okay, none of us are getting any sleep, which is why we made it to church on time. Get up. Go to your computer, write out a prayer request. Don't worry about whether it makes sense or not, and ship it off, and I guarantee you'll be able to go back to sleep. Try it. It's an experiment this week. Do it. Of course, we'll all be sending prayers at 3 a.m. Reverend Linda's going to wonder what's going on. And then our last way is the prayer request forms that are in the back, the little seat pockets. Fill one out. Put it in our box, and we will pray for you for like a whole week. Like whatever that problem is going to disappear in the first day, and you get another 6.5 days of us surrounding you and soaking you in love and in peace. So prayer, try it. It works. All right, so announcements. So this class is starting this Thursday, and I would encourage all of us, you do not need to be a current parent of a little one. You can be a grandparent. You can be a teacher. You can be somebody who might work with kids in an after-school program. But don't miss this opportunity. This Thursday, Anne and Robert are going to start 7 Spiritual Laws for Parents. Now, this is a program that Deepak Chopra, where we're using his book, so you know it's good before you even get there. And this is what they wrote, and this is what they want you to know. Would you like to give your children, or some children in your life, some type of spiritual but not religious foundation? If so, then this class is for you. There's no dogma or creed to follow. We do not teach you what to think. Instead, we present ways on how to think. Don't let this opportunity pass by. Sign up today. You can get the books today. So Thursday, it's going to be here. This Thursday, it's going to be from 7 to 8 p.m. And guess what? There's childcare. So that means no excuses. Bring your children. We'll take care of them. Spend an hour in some spiritual teaching. Okay.
Are there any prerequisites for that course?
I'm pretty sure you have to be breathing outside of that.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, breathing might be a good thing for that. And it's also a love offering. So there's no excuses. The books are here. Whatever capacity that you're touching a child, please consider taking this class. It's going to be off the chain. Our annual meeting, woohoo! April 27th. You want to be at this meeting for a couple of reasons. One, we got 2 open board seats, which of course we always, every year, rotate 2 people off. But we're also going to be making some bylaw changes because of Reverend Don retiring. We need to change a few things around. And so your vote on a couple of issues is going to be really important. So please put that date down and come join us. And then I have one other announcement. It's a visual. I'm not quite sure what the announcement is, but I'm showing it to everybody because I'm sure this means something to somebody, but I'm not sure. So, huh? See? I
I don't think so, but it could be. Is there a potluck coming
I hear there is one.
up? Okay. Does anybody have any details? Okay, there's a potluck coming up.
See the website.
The details are here. Let us send this. Well, I do want to say one thing. We do have a speaker today. He's annoying. He has bad jokes. He picks on me all the time. And since he's retiring, I get to say this crap about him. But he is our beloved Reverend Don. He just threatened my license. It's okay. Actually not. You guys probably don't know this about Reverend Don, but his sole purpose in life is to try and make me laugh and lose it when I'm up here. And so he does all these little secret jokes and mimics things. There's been times when he's thrown a tennis ball at me while I am up here speaking. So.
Yeah, he's not denying it.
So he's about to retire. Does anybody, is that revenge I smell in the air? Our beloved Reverend Don after.
Well, thank you. And Aaron, I'll be stuck in my brain, of course, for good the rest of the week. So replaces a little bit of Patsy Cline that was stuck there from the amazing Women of Country that we went to. Incredible presentation. When I was a little kid, hot front range summers, my buddies and I would hatch a plan. We had a little thing we'd do, and we would get up early, do our chores right away, and all of which should have been huge red flags to our parents. But I think they just, isn't Donnie being a good boy today? As soon as they take off for work, we would hit the garage and find an inner tube. And there were 3 of us, and so you have to realize our parents are all children of the Depression. You don't throw anything away. So an old leaky inner tube is something that would be real common in somebody's garage then. And usually they were small enough leaks that it'd take a while for them to go down. So we could grab these flat inner tubes and head down to the gas station and get them filled. And then we would put our little pennies and nickels and dimes together and bribe Robert's older brother, he was an old man, he was 16, and he could drive, and he would take us up to the mouth of Clear Creek Canyon, and we would get in these inner tubes and float back to Golden. That was a great experience. It taught us a lot. We learned how to navigate those little inner tubes. But it was kind of like, if you've been to the water park and they've got the lazy river thing, it was kind of like the lazy river. Well, we wanted more action. So after a few times at this, we would convince the brother to take us further up Clear Creek Canyon. Well, how far did we go? A mile or more. I never did know what a mile or more was. I thought it was a bird. Well, we'd go up Clear Creek Canyon, and the hard part was finding a place to get in, because Clear Creek is zooming through that canyon. It's steep, and the water's going in there, and it's fast. Luckily, in summer, it doesn't have the volume that it did earlier in the spring, but with the little knowledge that we had gained from being down on the lazy river, we could navigate our way down. And we learned even more in the faster water, and that is to keep your feet down in front of you, keep your feet up, and don't lock your knees. When you come into a boulder or some obstacle, soft knees, and don't if you locked your knees and you tried to go against that current, you would be turned over so fast. And then you're in the current with no inner tube, no, nothing good could come of that. And you'd end up miles downstream, a mile or more downstream, till you got to the lazy river. Well, we would do that every chance that we got. And we'd always get down to the bridge at Washington Avenue in Golden, and it'd be enough time. I only lived 3 blocks from the creek, but Colorado's so dry and so hot, you dry off by the time you got home, and parents never knew where we were. Oh, I was over at Robert's. Robert told his parents, oh, I was over at Mike's. Mike's parents, oh, I was over at Don's. So we had this little, and we were all innocent little angels. It's a miracle none of us drowned, because Clear Creek that was quite a thing. But I tell this story because I think it's a perfect allegory for life. It really is. We sometimes have a hard time navigating life. And if we try and force it ourselves, it's just like locking your knees in that little inner tube going down. And it's nothing good is going to come from it when we lock our knees and try to force life into what we're going to do, because that current is way stronger than we're ever going to be. And so it behooves us to, number one, find a good place to get into the flow of life, and number two, to learn how to navigate the boulders and the obstacles that we come into. And so the title of my talk today is In the Flow. I had to look it up. In the Flow. And I'm going to talk about how to get in the flow and then how to stay there once you're in the flow. Ernest Holmes told us that all of life is a state of eternal flow. And so the way we do that is by the use of our spiritual practices. Okay, so that's what the day's going to be. First of all, I want to welcome everyone who is here today. Thank you for being attentive to your clocks and jumping ahead an hour and making it here on time. And as Linda pointed out, I'm sure we're going to have another wave here in about 30 minutes. Every year we do, but it's fun. I enjoy that because we can always sit around and drink coffee afterwards. So welcome, and for those of you online, luckily you too have caught up with us time-wise, and you're here at the right time, and if not, that's okay too. If you come in at the end, you can watch the whole thing on Facebook recorded, or later in the week on YouTube. You're welcome to do that as well. So, point number one, how to get into the flow. And for that, I recommend 2 spiritual practices, meditation and visioning, 2 important ways. And these are just like finding that place where the current isn't so great that you can't get in. You need some kind of a little beach to do it, and you need to be able to have a place for the old jalopy to pull over, because US 6 going up Clear Creek Canyon is a pretty narrow, windy road. So you find a good place and you get in there. Abdul Baha, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that quite right, but it is from the Baha'i faith, has said, meditation is the key for opening the doors of mysteries. In that state, we withdraw ourselves from all outside objects. In that subjective mood, we are immersed in the ocean of spiritual life and can unfold the secrets of things in themselves. Think of the person who is endowed with 2 kinds of sight. When the power of insight is being used, the outward power of vision does not see. Meditation discerns the reality of all things and puts us in touch with God. And whether you embrace the term God for that infinite creative force, or whatever term you like to use for your higher power. The thing I want you to remember is that in that practice of meditation, we have the opportunity to experience that presence, the presence of something greater than we are. A lady at home office is a native Spanish-speaking person. English is a second language for her, and she is doing a marvelous job of translating so much of not only Ernest Holmes, but other thinkers along our line of thought from English into Spanish and presenting them. And she wrote this kind of long, but I really like what she had to write in regard to meditation. The most common spiritual practice today, which can show up in different shapes, sizes, and designs, is meditation. Whatever form you give to the practice, be it guided meditation, moving meditation, chanting, or repeating certain mantras, meditation has been scientifically proven to help you quiet your mind, thereby reducing stress and anxiety in general. It also helps to improve physical and mental health and sharpens intuition. A meditation of silence practice, as taught by the Buddhist doctrines, can support you in cultivating mental calmness, along with easing the path to access the small voice of stillness in the heart. It's why meditation has become so popular. Even corporate America today is advising the use of meditation. Step out of the stress, step out of all that we're creating, and allow us to get in touch with whatever it is. And you don't even have to recognize it as your higher power, but it will bring you to that place of calmness that is within all of us. These meditative practices help us in our own introspection. In a world full of noise, constant distractions, and apparent chaos, the small voice of stillness invites us to stop and allow ourselves to feel, reflect, and connect with our inner self. Meditative introspection allows us to know our deepest emotions, thoughts, and desires, which in turn helps us to make more conscious decisions that are aligned with our true essence of being. In other words, they help us to get into the flow. There was a man, we'll call him Dave, who felt overwhelmed by all of the chaos and all of the things in our world. And Dave really tried hard to get some sense of order to it, to put it all together. But between the stress of his job and all the things that were going on in his community and even within his state and the nation and the whole globe and the wars and everything, it just seemed like everything was so overwhelming. And he decided that he would take a journey, and he journeyed a long way to go visit with a Buddhist master, and he traveled for days to get there. He got there and he asked for an audience. He was granted an audience, and he was able to go in and sit with the Buddhist master. And he sat at the foot of the guru, and the guru nodded to him. He sat there so calm and peaceful, and so Dave said, I'm here because of the noise of the world. He said, I'm chained to my cell phone. Everything is just inundating me. How do I get through this? How do I do it? And the guru said, well, let us meditate together. And so they sat down and took a deep breath, and they sat looking at, opposite each other with their eyes closed. And all of the busyness started going through Dave's mind. Oh God, I shouldn't have dressed like this. Here I am in yoga pants, and he's over there with a diaper on. Oh my God, I'm not dressed right. Oh, what am I going to, how much am I supposed to pay him? I don't know. What am I? And all of these things are going on. Oh my God, I didn't get this done before I left. Oh, the lady I work with is going to be upset I didn't have that. And all of these things are going on. And his mind is just racing, and he knows it. And he says, oh, Master, I'm having such a hard time. It's okay. It's okay. Just return, breathe in and out. Let it go. Let it go. And as he sat there, even though they were miles from everywhere or anything, he sat there in a quiet, and he thought he was finally getting it, and his phone went off. And he could not resist the urge, and he reaches over and he click down and look at his phone, and he says, oh, Master, I'm so sorry. What is your secret? How do you stay above all of this? And the guru leaned over and whispered in his ear, and he said, I put my phone on airplane mode. And I think that's a little bit of advice for all of us. Maybe we need to sometimes stop and put our phones on airplane mode. Meditation can be a powerful gift. Another practice that we can use to get into the flow is visioning. The father of visioning, as far as I'm concerned, is Michael Beckwith. Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith started the Agape Center with just a few people gathered together, and they visioned every single week. And today, I think their congregation is, I think average Sunday attendance is over 5,000. It's an amazing thing, and but it all started with visioning. And when asked about visioning, this is what he wrote in his course. He wrote a course in visioning, and it's called Visioning, a Way of Living. And this is from the workbook for that course. Visioning is a process by which we train ourselves to be able to hear, feel, see, and grasp God's plan for our life, or for whatever particular project that we're working on. It is based on the idea that we are not here to tell God what to do or to ask God for things, but to be absolutely available for what God is already doing, to open ourselves to grasp what is already happening. We're not envisioning. We don't tell God what to do. We don't beg, beseech, or barter with God for something. We throw all that out and we open ourselves to God's highest vision for whatever we're doing. And I think the impetus perhaps from that came from Ralph Waldo or Emerson, who said, "Let us become silent that we may hear the whispers of the gods. There is guidance for each of us, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word." So the two spiritual practices to get into the flow are meditation and visioning. And it is so important that we take those steps and get into the flow. Because just as the little kids floating down Clear Creek Canyon, if we try and fight the flow, if we try and fight what's going on in our lives, we really risk getting overturned. But when we can reposition ourselves and allow that current to take us, what a joyous ride we can have. And so I urge you to get into the flow of life. Allow the divine current to flow through you on and out, and step into that. I'm all lost here. Okay. So then the question then becomes, then how do we stay in the flow? And our two spiritual practices that we will have to stay in the flow are our intuition and practicing the presence. Ernest Holmes said, "Intuition, which is nothing less than God in us, silently awaits its recognition and cooperation." Just like what came out of our sacred reading. And I love it when things come together like that. But here's Jane Beach talking about the power of intuition. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Nothing less than God in us. And of course, another one of my favorites is Brene Brown. Brene wrote, "What silences our intuitive voice is our need for certainty." Our need for certainty. That's when we're locking our knees and bumping against those boulders in our path and spinning ourselves around or even knocking us off. We look for assurances from others. Learn to trust our intuition. Get those soft knees. Intuition is not a single way of knowing. It is our ability to hold space for uncertainty and our willingness to trust the many ways that we have developed knowledge and insight, including instinct, experience, faith, and reason. Use those soft knees. And I always like to talk something about science. You know, our movement is called the science of mind, and sometimes I think we get away from the science side of that. But I have a quote here from Rick Field, who is a professor of physics at the University of Florida. And he writes, "Only when we are silent can we begin to hear the voice that is truly our own." What the Quakers call the still small voice within. The source of this voice, which may be without sound and yet is heard, is called by many different names. The inner guide, the guardian angel, spirit guide, the collective unconscious, or just plain intuition. Actually, all of us hear the whisperings of this voice every single day of our lives, but many of us ignore it. And it is so easy to ignore. Once again, we're locking our knees and not taking the bumps. And then the other spiritual practice for staying in the flow is practicing the presence. Almost always we have somebody that sits in the back, and it's usually a practitioner who can sit here and hold the presence. And what that simply means is that they are staying in a place of connection to their higher power and knowing that this service is filled with the presence of something greater than we are. And that whatever happens here is blessed. We don't have someone sitting there today, but Judy is silently holding the presence while she's doing all of the other things that she's doing. And Judy does about 20 things around here every Sunday morning. And so she is holding that presence for us as we do it today. Bless her. Judy and I have started this thing. I wasn't going to say this, but every week we stand at opposite ends of the sanctuary and we just make eye contact, and then we enter into a place of connection with the divine, and we fill this sanctuary with love, with a pink cloud of love, and we just let it filter down into each and every chair, each and every person that's here, all of our children, the people who are next door with the children, whatever it is, we fill this, the people that are on their way, the people that are already here, we bless everyone. And then we conclude by seeing the light within each other. And that is the idea of practicing the presence. Joel Goldsmith, in his book, Practicing Presence, wrote, This continual practice of presence, a recognition of God in all that we do, providing us with sufficient periods to enter into silence and awaiting an inner feeling that the Spirit of God is moving, makes God the principle that governs, supports, and sustains all of our experience. To practice the presence is to live in a state of wholeness 24/7. Not only when we're in meditation, in our classes, in service, or listening to a spiritual audiobook. To practice the presence is to live aware of a self living in this world, but understanding that we are not of this world. There is something spiritual that permeates everything. It gets back to this idea that we are all created by one infinite creative force that is continually and forever expressing itself through and as each and every one of us. So every activity that we do is the activity of the divine. Even the things that we think are bad. Oh, I screwed that up. But you know, behind that, we can learn from those mistakes. And maybe that lesson is the exact thing that it takes for you to implant in your brain so you can pass that on to your kids or to someone else. That's what they need. We don't often see how the entire tapestry works together. In today's fast-paced, overstimulated society, it is often difficult to listen to the still small voice. Constant exposure to screens, addiction to technology, including social media, the demands of everyday life can hinder our ability to connect with our inner true self. Returning to presence is essential in order to listen, hear, and follow the guidance of our inner voice, which provides a path to authenticity and wholeness. So these things that sometimes we think are so overwhelming, that we may think are horrible, oh my God, nothing good can come from any of this, we can let that go. Because when we're in the flow, that divine current is carrying us through it. We don't have to do all of everything. Yesterday, I talked at the Whole Life Festival, and one of the things that I talked about was that when we are in that flow, when we are in that place, we have help. Now, we've got to do our part. If you want a new job, maybe you work for the federal government now, I don't know, and you lose your job. Terrible, you know, but let's not gnash our teeth, because maybe that's opening the door for you to get a way better job that pays more self-satisfaction, is even better. Until we allow the divine current to work through us, we don't get that. And so we have to do our part. You're not going to get a new job if you don't fill out the employment application. You're never going to get the new job if you don't dig out that old resume that you had, blow the dust off it and update it and get it out there. You've got to do your part, but once you do that, that divine current will carry you to the destination that you desire. Because this infinite creative force is for us. It's not here to judge us. It's not here to punish us. It's here to support us. So what I want you to take away today, and we're getting to the end of time here. Well, not the end of all time, just the end of this time. Not the end of time. Did you notice being able to read this with no glasses? Size 23 font, 7 pages it takes. This is a takeaway. We live in a world full of noise and distractions, which keep us living with an idea of separation from spirit, universe, God. In this week, the theme of Vivain of life, that's the flow of life. I invite you to listen to the voice of stillness, to your intuition, and to step into the flow of life. And so it is with the awareness that this flow is here now with us. I invite you to join with me and our practitioners in holding our congregation, our city, and the problems that it faces, our state, our nation, our wars, to hold all of this in the powerful presence, knowing that this is indeed the activity of a power that's greater than we are. We do our part. We make our voices heard. We act. And we have faith that that infinite creative power that is God will carry us through this time of struggle, will carry us through division and return us to oneness, to wholeness. We know that that infinite power can deliver us from dis-ease and illness and deliver us to health and vitality. We know that this infinite creative force can carry us from lack and limitation, fear of not having enough, and deliver us to prosperity and abundance. And we know that this infinite force working through us allows us to see beyond separation, to see us beyond division, and allows us to see the divine in everyone we meet. And everyone that we judge today, everyone is a magnificent expression of the one. And when we see that God in one another, we embrace our wholeness, our oneness, our connection to each other and our connection to God. And when we do that, we become filled with the joy, the peace, the harmony, the love, the beauty that we seek. And so I speak my word now, just knowing that that circle is complete, that each and every one of us have a place in the flow that always is going behind us, a flow that is always carrying us to our good. And I am so grateful for this. Thank you, God. And so now we can just step back, keep our knees soft. We bounce off the rocks, the boulders. We let it go. We let it be. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, Aaron and choir. Now is the time in our service where we are afforded the opportunity to step into yet another spiritual practice, that being the law of circulation. I'd like to recognize some of the people who are online today. The ones that woke up at the right time are Kaleem, Tony, and Barb Taylor. And I'm sure there's others. And there'll be a whole bunch more checking in here in a few minutes. Oh yeah, we've got to do the affirmation. We'll do our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. And okay, Jude, I could have helped. She's going to be the distributor, the divine distributor. I have been asked, before we do the song, I have been asked over and over, Don, what are you going to do after you retire? And I've been thinking about this, and these professional sports franchises are incredible. The Denver Broncos sold, 3 years ago, for $4.5 billion. They're saying the New York Giants today are worth $6.7 billion. So I thought maybe I'd start a professional sports league. And I'm thinking, I could have a professional hide and seek league.
Oh, okay.
Hide and seek, yeah, one guy counts and the other one goes and hides. But I'm afraid it's destined for failure.
Why is that?
Because good players are so hard to find.
Your head is smiling at us. You're God's gift of tomorrow. Oh, how we love you. Oh, how we love you.
You are the
Son of the morning. You are heaven smiling at us. You're God's gift of tomorrow. Oh, how we love you. Oh, how we love you.
He told Elijah they were bunny ears. And today we studied inner and outer peace, which is so important to us in this world today.
Amen.
And Gavin is going to tell you how we. Okay, he's going to show you with the peace sign that he made. And how old do you think this is? I think this must be a really old medieval or pre-Columbian or something gesture. But when did the peace sign originate, the peace symbol?
1960s?
Pretty close, 1958 in Britain.
1958.
1958. Yep. I Googled it, of course.
Cool.
But what we did in here, and Elijah especially, he was exhibiting peace by sharing. And that is so important. And that's what we have here. And we were so glad to have Gavin here back with us again today and willing to give us his peace sign.
Heaven smiling at us. You are God's gift of tomorrow.
Oh, how we love you. Oh, how we love you.
Okay, I just have to point out before I close this out that when we screwed up the song, the look that Aaron gave everyone was that of a true parent. So
There you go. The
She-
choir does need parenting.
yes, so you might want to show up Thursday night, Aaron.
Yep.
So as we close out today, when we look for action, let us not be surprised when it shows up. So find a good place, navigate, and let it flow, using intuition, meditation, and visioning, and of course the all-important airplane mode, to release the noise, constant distractions, and disappointments. Remember, when you are practicing the presence, you are an unstoppable force, a force for good. Help me anchor this by saying, and so it is.
Let's have everyone